Fox 38 with the Grip X2 damper. Well, maybe not all new, but I was more impressed than I thought I'd be. And I picked this guy up from Jensen USA, so if you want one of your own, go check that out. They have a full range in stock, as well as that 50th anniversary gold if you really want something fancy. So let's get into what makes this guy different than the old fork. I went over the new fork versus old in this video up here, as well as the installation somewhere up here, if you want to check that out. But as far as the differences that really stand out, the first one is going to be the steer tube. So they got rid of the e-bike optimized 38s, and it's all one fork now. And while that sounds great and is great, I did run into a bit of a problem with my multi-tool. So if you got one of those steer-based multi-tools, you may have to make some modifications. I had to cut down the, I'm going to call it a holster quite a bit, and then I had to remove the chain tool, which I just put in the down tube of my bike. Next, Fox did update the bushings and the lowers, which reduces friction and was really necessary to allow the new Grip 2 damper to shine. Finally, the damper. Fox increased the base valve from 20 to 24 millimeters and the number of valves from 7 to 23. This allows for a lower pressure, which increased sensitivity and did make for a quicker response from the damper. The added number of valves also meant a wider range of adjustment, more low-speed compression settings, and a more distinct change from every click. Finally, the mid-valve was updated. I'll throw some photos up so you can visually see the difference, and I'm sure there are more damper updates I'm not going to cover, but let's get into how this thing feels, and if you should upgrade yours. I'm going to have to say yes and no. If you have the cash, it's definitely better. However, the old fork was extremely good, so you don't need to rush to upgrade, unless you absolutely need that new gold. So performance-wise, the fork feels much more active and plush, all while being just as supportive as the old fork, if not more. Especially on high-speed impacts, the fork reacts nearly as fast as you can. It always feels like you know exactly where the front wheel is. The other thing to note is you lost no support. So while I did change my settings ever so slightly from the old fork, I got significantly better performance out of the new fork. Often, after setting up the fork, increasing the damping and getting where I need it to keep me high in the travel, even on the real steep stuff, and not bottoming on medium-sized drops, the small bump compliance doesn't quite feel as good as it did initially. However, after getting this fork set up, I was surprised it still felt incredibly plush. I tried the fork fully open, set up as recommended, and I set it up like I had the old fork. After a few rides, I found the settings to be right in between the recommended and how I had my own fork set up. You can feel more of the trail, all while decreasing the harshness that gets to your hands, especially on those long downhills. The fork still uses its travel well, but especially on small jittery bumps, you have more traction and the wheel noticeably conforms to the trail. It's also not skipping over rocks at higher speeds, and it even felt more controlled over wet rocks and roots. Those high-speed hits also feel considerably less harsh. It was a little odd at first, but the more I rode, the better it felt. Fox talked a lot about reducing the reaction time of the damper, and I wasn't sure I'd be able to notice the changes, but the changes worked, and that means more control and less fatigue.
Left this time. See how things look.
Thanks for watching, and if you like what you heard, don't forget to check out Jensen USA with the link in the description to pick up your own. See you next week.
You?